Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your host, Mark, and we got a fun episode ahead of us. We're doing the final part of the Iron Hands, Ferrus Manus kind of saga series that we're up to. Who do we have with us today? We got Christian. Have you spray painted your hands?
Silver? Not yet.
Yeah.
No. But I did legally change my name to Gott von Berlichingen. So those who know will know. I'll leave it at that.
I don't know, but I want to know. Can I know?
Sounds like you're going back to your German roots or something.
Something like that.
Okay. Well, Gott von Berlichtenstein or whatever. Welcome. Glad to have you. I'm sure you just pissed off a lot of people, honestly. I don't know how, but it happens. I get a lot of emails. We also got Jordan with us.
Hey guys, I have been injecting myself with nanobots, and I changed my willy into a laser. So I've got my full transhumanist get up ready to go for the Iron Hands.
Of all the things you could have improved your wiener with, that you chose to destroy.
Well, he always hears about love being on the spectrum. So yeah, the laser light spectrum of a cock sounds nice, Jordan. Good job, buddy.
No, it's because I wanted to fuck the world.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I like that you mentioned relics right off the bat, because when writing these notes, I got to the relics and they had a bunch of crazy ones like that where they're like, oh, so you have 2 hearts? Well, I have 10. And just like ridiculous stuff like that where I wanted to do a whole episode on just them. I left them out here and added it to my bonus episode ideas because there's so many fun ones. So, this episode, Iron Hands. But before we get into it, we'll just do some quick housekeeping. Come join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. People are chatting. Like I said, I've been painting a lot, posting pictures and stuff. People compliment me. You know, I get that endorphin hit. Oh, Mark, you're such a special little guy. So you could be one of those people. I'll give you a thumbs up back. I tell you that much. But yeah, it's a good time. If you need a link, use like the message me on Facebook or Instagram, or links in the description below.
And as per usual, we want you to join the Imperial Tithe. Patreon.com/Lorehammer, I'm assuming. Join the Imperial Tithe and support the show. Get ad-free version of the show for $2.50 a month and a video version for $5 a month. So do it now while supplies last.
They are limited. Each year of podcasting drains 4 years off my soul. So this is a limited resource, but hey, we're here for it. I'm still waiting for the technology to catch up to servitorism so we can really get Mark cooking on Lorehammer episodes. But
just turn you into a Lorehammer servitor. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Constant streaming 24/7.
Exactly.
Well, if you want to help pay to contribute to Lobotomize Mark, you can also help by joining the Patreon and seeing us all in the live stream. We have a live chat room going during the show, so we can talk to you guys live and not in person. And when we're feeling spicy, sometimes we let you call in and talk to us live on air.
Yeah, the call-ins are definitely fun. Definitely if you're in the chat and you feel like the end of the episode's coming up, say, hey, I want to call in. I feel like sometimes I'll drop the link and then no one will kind of appear. But
it's intimidating. It's intimidating. We're surrounded by 3 strong, masculine dudes. One of them has a laser dick. Like, I would be intimidated.
I would call into that show. Fuck. Jeez. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Well, you win some, you lose some, I guess. All right. Well, let's jump into the Iron Hands, the 40K chapter era. So this episode, we're going to be doing a quick little recap what we've learned so far in the past 3, and then jumping into their 10,000 year kind of history from after the second founding till the great grand calculation, or the modern 40K time to them. Then we'll talk about their appearance, their organization, dive into the Iron Council a little bit more. We mentioned them in the last episode, but we didn't really they were a new organization, so a lot has kind of happened to them, including the Iron Fathers. You know, they get a little more complex, a little more ritualistic, a little more bizarre as years go by. 10,000 years of I don't know, replacing body parts, I guess, does a number to you. Scrambles you a little bit. And then we'll go back to the home world. We've been there a couple times, but I got a couple notable locations, including a space location that seems to be a common theme that I didn't ever pick up on before, but we'll get to that. Dominions. This was an interesting one. So everyone knows about, Medusa, but they also have dominions that they rule. So that was interesting little find there. Kind of like Ultramar and the 500 worlds that everyone is going on about lately. But yeah, they got their own kind of little kingdom going on. And then we'll dive into recruitment, gene seed, combat doctrine, belief, a little bit about the army. But honestly, like I got to their relics and I'm like, fuck, they even have Ferrus Manus's hand or head or what? I could do a whole episode. So, we'll save that for another time. But yeah, let's kind of dive into it. I'll start with the recap. I feel like the Great Crusade, they came onto the scene and their 200-year Great Crusade was highly distinguished. That's how you kind of categorize it. Very well respected. Like no one talked shit about them. They weren't people's favorite, but they just were like distinguished, well-rounded, and they conquered a lot of planets too. Very zealously, very like calculated and merciless, unforgiving. During the Horus Heresy, they were pretty much knocked out right at the beginning. They became headless, as we know, leaderless, with Ferrus Manus just falling to the betrayal right in the first kind of battle. So then they kind of flounder. They have their shattered legions and whatever. They do a couple things, but they're kind of leaderless. And then during the second founding, they're given the opportunity, now that all the other legions are kind of like leveled out, after the Siege of Terra and all the numbers of Astartes dwindle, they're trying to like rebuild. They actually like this kind of period during the reforging. They were on board with the Gilliman and kind of reforging chapters. And they looked at it like, if cogs are broken, you kind of, replace them, or you add more cogs to expand onto this cog system. Very mechanical, but they were a fan. So that was kind of the quick little recap. Like I said, go listen to the previous 3 episodes if you really want to know.
Yeah. Shall we jump into the history?
Yeah.
Let's start with the faultless service. As the millennia advanced, the Iron Hand proved relentless in safeguarding the Imperium's strategic interests. Their methods grew increasingly devoid of empathy, but such brutality was dismissed as necessary efficiency. Few dared to label their escalating callousness as error. Results were all that mattered. Clan Raucan, in particular, answered the summons to Mars without hesitation, deploying forces to enforce compliance with cold, unquestioning precision. Their actions demonstrated not just duty, but allegiance rooted in logic and iron, unyielding, impartial, and entirely without mercy.
You ever heard the saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we never hear about the Iron Hands, and I think it's because of this kind of 10,000-year period where you don't really hear much squeaks out of them. They're just doing what they need to do. They're maintaining their own machines. They're not getting into too much like chapter rebellions or too much like outside drama. And yeah, they're just doing their duty, and they conquered a lot and kind of retook a lot and really kind of just had that just kind of ignored, essentially, left to their own devices.
Just like they are on the tabletop and by GW.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't squeaking, so they just got no grease and no one really loved them. But they're doing their thing. They're carrying the weight of a lot. Like I said, they even have like a dominion. Not many chapters to kind of do that, take that responsibility.
Yeah. All right, let's move into the Moirae Schism. During the chaos of the Nova Terra Interregnum in the early 35th millennium, the Imperium splintered into warring factions. The Adeptus Mechanicus was not spared, its forge worlds gripped by ideological fracture and intersenine conflict. The most disruptive of these was the Moirae Schism, a doctrinal war between the Martian Orthodox cult Mechanicus and a radical splinter sect born from the minor forge world of Moirae. Inspired by the cryptic prophecies of 3 tech mystics, this schism became the most pervasive ideological upheaval to consume the Mechanicus since the Horus Heresy. Yeah, so it's almost like an actual religious fracture, like from history, which is interesting.
We talked a little bit about that on the Segmentum episodes, the Tempestus one, because that's kind of like where it all spawned and kind of shot out, and lots of stuff kind of happened there.
Yeah. Even after Moray was obliterated by the Fabricator General's rectification fleet, the heresy endured. The mystics had used predictive wave algorithms to analyze microfluctuations in the Astronomicon's psychic output. Man, that's such a techie line of words. Technobabble. From these patterns, they claimed to extract the divine language of the Omnissiah, a script that mapped the trajectory of humanity's destiny. Their doctrine hinted at the impending fall of Mars's priesthood and the merging of the cult Mechanicus with the ecclesiarchy into a singular theocratic machine state. Such predictions were seen by Mars as sedition, not revelation. The result was binary, compliance or obliteration. Civil war ignited as loyalists and radicals collided in a calculated purge of belief. Steel met steel in the name of truth, and the Mechanicus learned once more that ideology is just another battlefield, one to be cleansed with fire and logic.
Yeah. So this is an interesting thing, because it's not necessarily Imperium related. Like, this is definitely more cult Mechanicus related, how it affects the Iron Hands. And then it becomes more secretive, and you don't really know what they're up to. Like, if you're just a standard Imperium guy or whatever, like the Mechanicum's so bizarre. They're just so weird already. So you don't even really know what they're up to. But the chapter, they still kind of have to make a decision on what's happening with this kind of faith decision. Because we know they kind of get ties, and they start getting more and more ties as the years, grow on. And then we get to the sundering of the chapter. And yeah, this is an M35. The Moray dogma spread like a contagion, infiltrating the Mechanicus priesthood, subverting tech guard regiments, and even turning Titan legions against the established order. This ideological virus did not stop at the Forge Worlds. Its corruption reached into the Space Marine chapters aligned with the Adeptus Mechanicus, including the Iron Hands. Yet, even in the same time of doctrinal decay, Clan Raucan remained unbroken. Under the iron will of the Iron Chaplain Furnos, the Iron Captain Hecken, not a single warrior fell to heresy. They answered treachery with force, deploying Vindicators and Predators to crush Cataphracti descendants on Kamjata. However, the stain of betrayal lay close to home. Warriors from Clan Borogos had sided with the Morai fanatics. That fracture would calcify into hatred that endured for centuries. Led by the notorious Iron Father Setol Solix, a significant contingent of the chapter embraced the Moray Creed. The chapter approached the brink of internal war. Only the calculated intervention of the Iron Council prevented a purge. With cold efficiency, they decreed exile for those who kept their heretical faith and a mutual vow to never raise arms against their kin. Nearly a third of the chapter departed, later joined by a few like-minded warriors from other Iron Hand successors. Others, such as the Red Talons, purged their descendants entirely. Still, the exiles maintained their allegiance to the Imperium, carrying out their duties with unwavering precision and maintaining their identity as Iron Hands, even in separation. Yeah, so just going back to that squeaky wheel, even in heresy, they're like still loyalists, and they're like, okay, we disagree. We're going to go make another chapter and go fight the way we want for the Emperor. And they're like, yes, that actually is good. Now we got two cogs in this wheel. Like, they love it.
They actually doubled their efficiency, even when they're
Exactly. Operating independently, yet with disciplined structure, the exiled Iron Hands expanded their ranks. They submitted their gene seed to the Mechanicus and continued to equip themselves using modified Iron Hands war gear. Yeah, like, this is seriously the best rebellion ever. They're just like, they should do this every 1,000 years, maybe. Over time, they reorganized into 3 new clan companies. This autonomous existence endured into the early 37th millennia, until the Age of Redemption began. The High Lords of Terror reasserted control of the fractured Imperium, purging corruption. The Iron Hand exiles, now all but a full chapter, underwent rigorous examination, gene seed, conduct, and loyalty. They were found loyal, untainted by warp or mutation. In 011 M37, despite Mechanicus' objections and Astartes' disapproval, the High Lords decreed a formation of a new chapter, the Sons of Medusa. In the centuries since, the Sons of Medusa have earned renown for their cold resolve in battle and their commitment to the Emperor's command. Even in the bleakest odds, yet their legacy carries a shadow. They are seen by some as scavengers, harvesting technology and weaponry from the aftermath of war. This habit, born of exile and necessity, remains integral to their doctrine. Whispered accusations claim they seek salvage more than victory, and their hunger for war gear explains their relentless willingness to hunt down renegade Space Marine Astartes. The sanctioned chapters alike. Such suspicions persist. Yet the Sons of Medusa do not bend to opinion. They gather tools of war, purge weakness, and carry out their duty with precision and unflinching and unrelenting. Yeah, they're fucking cool. I've heard about the Sons of Medusa. I know they got that cool green star skull logo and stuff, but I didn't know this was their origin. And it's pretty cool, man. Like, you got this chapter that just kind of has this little drift on how, is it 01 or 10? Hard to say. Okay, let's go our separate ways.
Are they kind of the Imperium's garbage crew or something? Like,
Yeah. Christian had an idea about like Space Marine salvage teams. Like, what happens to drop pods after they shoot them to the planet? Like, maybe these guys are picking them all up.
Dirty, filthy salvage seekers.
Yeah, between them and the Blood Ravens, the galaxy has been picked clean.
No battlefield is left uncleansed. It's interesting you mentioned the Sons. This isn't the Sons of Medusa episode, but their chapter icon is very reminiscent of the old Death Guard's Legion icon as well.
Yeah, and I always thought there was a tie there because, like, they got that green color scheme as well.
Yeah. I would have assumed it was one of those awkward chapters that may or may not have descended from Trader Geneseed. But you know, they maybe get their own episode. They sound interesting, but they seem loyalist as fuck. Even this guy chopped his hand off. He's like, I may not be an Iron Hand, but great idea. Great idea. Can't argue with that.
All right, shall we get into the next section here, the Grand Calculation? War consumes the Imperium. It is vast, unrelenting, surpassing all previous conflicts. True to their engineered philosophy, the Iron Council refuses to dissipate strength blindly across the galaxy. Trust in chance is a flaw they refuse to suffer. Instead, every variable will be calculated, every threat quantified, and the most efficient point of deployment determined. Even the chapter's successors are being drawn into this machine logic equation. Messages carried through the warp seek to bind the Brazen Claws, Iron Lords, and Sons of Medusa into a unified purpose. While the Iron Council grinds through the Grand Calculation, Stronos and his most trusted subcommanders sustain the chapter's war effort, holding back the collapse until the final verdict is rendered. Clan Raukan is led by a conclave of Iron Fathers, Chief Librarian Lydric, the austere Iron Chaplain Shulgar, Iron Captain Gralvok, and the Master of the Forge, Ferrus. Eccentric but indispensable. These figures have commanded for centuries, their legacy full of decisive victories against the Imperium's foes. Privately, they suspect the chapter will commit itself to one of several key enemies, but even they lack the data to predict the outcome or timing of that strike.
Yeah, very cool. Just a little refresher on the Iron Council to get this little more context of how they're making these decisions. They're basically AIing themselves right now, CPUing a bunch of video cards together.
I was thinking that exact same thing. I was like, are they just letting AI take over their brains and making decisions for them?
Yeah, like so they'll hook all their we'll get into it later in the episode, but basically, yeah, they're neural linking all to each other and then to a computer and running all those numbers just yeah, it's pretty wild. So when we're talking about the Iron Council and making these decisions, like it's not this like yelling and arguing over the table, or it's not this cold, calculated, calm discussion, even. It's probably just like this deep meditation, maybe one guy twitches his eye every now and again, but it's all.
But they're also probably having, if they are having debates at all, they're probably having them on like time scales of nanoseconds, like it's happening so fast. Every single discussion, every scenario is like being like run through their brains and through the machine. They are processing this information at probably speeds that are incomprehensible to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good on paper, but have you ever heard of internet forums? I mean, it's not just like a giant Reddit thread where they're just
the Iron Hands Reddit thread. That's what they're tapped into.
Just downvoting each other every stupid comment.
Yeah. Oh, God. Every bad Reddit stereotype you can think of is happening with the Iron Hands in their heads.
Okay, well, let's see what kind of choices they make with this Grand Council then.
High Fleet Leviathan advances, its tendrils probing deeper into the stars. The Tyranids are a grotesque engine of flesh, a hive organism consuming entire systems to sustain its own growth. In this biomass predator, the Iron Hands see more than an existential threat. They see a biological perversion that must be annihilated. Cardon Stranos has been dispatched to the front, lending his cybernetic strength to halt Leviathan's spread. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I didn't exactly think about that, how like the Tyranids would kind of be seen as an abomination to them. They're very sort of opposite of they are trying to go more into becoming synthetic, and the Tyranids are the very opposite of that. So I could see how they'd be disgusted. Meanwhile, the Necron dynasties rise in cold silence. Their awakening tomb worlds increase daily, and their soulless steel bodies are viewed as an ultimate desecration by the followers of the Omnissiah. Among the Iron Hands, many would willingly expend their own lives if it meant scrubbing this ancient machine scourge from existence. And then a third target emerges, one shrouded in recurring violence and encoded with prophecy. 12 times Abaddon the Despoiler has struck the Imperium. 12 times his actions have been dissected, cataloged and analyzed by conclaves of Iron Fathers, communing with logic spirits. Each attack has further confirmed a pattern of intent. In the hidden vaults of the Iron Council, the very hour of the next and final assault is hypothesized with cold certainty. Many within the Iron Council argue that confronting Abaddon is their true destiny, but secrecy remains paramount. To reveal their predictions risks ridicule. Should their logic prove flawed, thus they remain silent, the calculations withheld even as the Imperium burns. If the conclusion is reached, if their successors stand with them, if the voice of Mars lends support, then a weapon of unmatched fury will be forged, its target unknown, its strike unpredictable. But the impact would hearken to the glories of the Great Crusade. Yet as the Iron Council endlessly deliberates, time bleeds away. The clan companies continue to wage war, each victory a fractional step toward redemption. And always the fires draw nearer. They fight on, mechanical in resolve, uncertain if salvation or annihilation awaits them. Well, goddamn, what's the point of all that like thinking power if you can't even like figure this stuff out,
Yeah, they don't have one guy who's like, okay, I'm the decision man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is fun though. They still are waging war now. They're just like, I guess we'll just purge indiscriminately.
Yeah,
So we get
always
that
the safest option.
Yeah,
that's what you should always default to. All right.
Before we move on to their appearance, there was a lot more in their history. They got 1 billion battles to choose from. But I feel like the big thing was there's a little bit of a schism, and then what's happening in 40K, where you like almost get another schism where the chapter has a lot of internal conflict, but it's like encouraged, and it's more of like a rivalry as opposed to like
Rebellion.
Rebellion. Yeah, exactly. You know, the clans are encouraged to compete with each other, and especially on the planet when you're not actually an Iron Hand, but you're like you're like a mortal on the planet in one of their clan cities or whatever, then there's really that competition between the clans. So that's always been encouraged, and who knows what will happen from this final kind of grand calculation. Maybe they'll break the chapter again and go separate ways, or maybe they'll hold it together. But
Yeah, and that vibes with their like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger kind of mentality of like constant punishing competition will breed a stronger and hopefully smarter or idealized outcome. So
yeah.
Cool. All right, let's talk about what they look like. Obviously, they have hands that are metal. And that's
so descriptive.
The Iron Hand system of heraldry is a precise fusion of the Codex Astartes' sterile doctrines and the ancient mechanical insignia of Medusa's clans. This configuration is not an artistic expression, but a ritualized manifestation of order and functionality. Every sigil, every line, every stroke of black lacquered paint serves a purpose. Its rigid metallic aesthetic renders the chapter visually as they are ideologically, inhuman, relentless, and stripped of all softness. Their armor is a statement of what they have become, machines of war. The external appearance of the Iron Hands has remained unchanged since the birth of the 10th Legion. Their armor is blackened like forged steel, devoid of ornamentation. The chapter's iron skull emblem, stamped coldly upon the left shoulder, each clan company bears its own emblem, functional and unembellished, displayed on the right pauldron. Recruits are drawn from one of 10 Medusan clans, and though these clans have evolved subtle divergences over time, their cultures are still subservient to the logic of the flesh's eradication. Classification is efficient. A warrior's battlefield role, whether battle line, close support, fire support, veteran, or command, is marked upon the left knee plate. In earlier eras, this was displayed upon the lower leg greave. A few Iron Fathers, calcified in tradition, maintain that method still. Each squad's identity is rendered through a stark low Gothic numeral, stenciled on the right knee plate. Rank is encoded through a combination of helmets, knee plates, and pauldron markers. As always with the Iron Hands, these distinctions are applied with precision, never more than is necessary, never less than function demands. There is no sentiment in their markings, only the pure transmission of hierarchy and purpose. So yeah, on the scale of like Emperor's Children or Blood Angels with like filigree and like really ornate suits of armor, the Iron Hands are like just practical squad marking, chapter marking, not brotherhood, whatever they call their companies,
Clans,
clan markings, and then like function markings. But
yeah.
I will say though, sorry, Mark, I will say some of them are a little cooler looking than I expected. I like the Iron Hands themselves. I find a little bit dry as a chapter or legion. However, I'm just scrolling through some of the images of them, and they're kind of very cyborg, especially the 40K ones. They're actually cool. Like, yeah, like I don't know, the Grey Knights. I never liked the color scheme of the Grey Knights. It's very drab. And I
very
was sort
gray,
of,
if you will.
yeah, gray, if you will. And I was sort of picturing. I don't know why I never even thought to go and look at Iron Hand, Space Marine, but I was sort of more picturing the like Grey Knights in my head was kind of what I was thinking.
Oh, like just silver unpainted.
Yeah, just kind of bland. But these guys are actually kind of cool looking. I'm not gonna lie. I like the black and kind of the silver accents a lot of them have.
It's hard to screw black and silver. Screw
Yeah,
up black and silver color
I know.
scheme. That's why Mark likes a Death Watch.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a dry brush and will be your best friend. Yeah, and like even their bionics, going back to like how it's that function on that scale of filigree. You know, normally bionics you see on chapters are battle battle replacements. They're on the spot kind of things that they do in the middle of a campaign, and then after that campaign, they will have the proper surgery to like regraft their arm, or they have that kind of technology to do that. But not with the Iron Hands. You know, they keep their brutal, efficient bionics. And yeah, it's sweet. You see it like that all the time then.
Yeah, a good example of that is Marinus Calgar of the Ultramarines, their chapter master. He actually is missing all 4 of his limbs, but you wouldn't ever be able to tell when he's obviously decked out in his power armor because they've like cleaned up and replaced like the armor plates that cover his bionics.
Yeah, and even his bionics, if they're not fully replaced with human, like actual replaced, because he's such a high up, they would be like Anakin Skywalker's level at bionic, you know, where it's indistinguishable from like a human form.
Luke Skywalker, but yeah.
Oh,
Anakin's robot hand, he just wears a glove over it.
Oh god damn.
Which also works, but
also like I'm looking at a picture of an Iron Father that someone painted. It's very Borg-like from Star Trek, which is cool. I think it's actually like a sweet aesthetic.
Yeah.
I'm digging this aesthetic actually more than I thought I would.
Jordan is, after all, a transhuman.
Yes. I'm into all this transhuman nonsense now.
Yes.
And Jordan's decided to mate with the filthy wirebacks.
Wirebacks. Oh my goodness. All right, moving into their organization. In the aftermath of the Horus Heresy at the dawn of the 31st millennia, the broken remnants of the Iron Hands Legion underwent the second founding. From the shorn and scarred remnants of the 10th, 4 distinct chapters were extruded like segments from the industrial mold, each built upon the ruined steel of a shattered father. 3 of these would depart Medusa permanently, the Red Talons, the Brazen Claws, and the third whose identity has dissolved into the fog of archive silence. These divisions did not signal freedom. They were the severing of neural pathways, splitting one machine into isolated components, destined never to reconnect. Over time, the successor chapters withdrew into fortresses and bolted their gates, turning inward and silenced the imperfections they could no longer purge. Only one remained behind, retaining the ancient name and the heraldry of the Iron Hands. This chapter endured as the blackened heart of the 10th Legion, still rooted deep in the Cyclopean stormlands of Medusa, where the tribes of flesh and steel fed an endless supply of recruits. As with all things within the Iron Hands domain, their deviation from the Codex Astartes was not rebellion, it was evolution of a sort, mechanical evolution. Their structure shifted to mirror the nomadic clan structures of Medusa, each warrior a living cog in a tribal machine. Their doctrines hardened into something colder than the Codex, shaped not by the ideals of Gilman, but by the certainties of Ferrus Manus's legacy and the brutal logic of mechanical perfection. Communication between the scattered successors decayed like corroded circuitry. Each of the 4 lineage branches retracted into isolation, their minds and missions sealed away behind the iron walls of their own doctrines. Meanwhile, connections to the chapters of the first founding, once forged in shared purpose, ceased entirely. After Ifsavan 5, the Iron Hands did not simply withdraw, they amputated their ties to the Imperium, just as they would amputate their own flesh, believing that what remains must be stronger, colder, and utterly unyielding. And, you know, they also kind of align themselves more with the Mechanicus at this point, too, with that whole severing.
Yeah.
I do like these different chapters. I can't wait to learn, like, okay, so the Red Talons, the Brazen Claws, and I guess we may or may not know anything about that third one. That's a nice little GW teaser right there that I can't wait to learn about. Yeah, like what members did they take? Was it just strictly they took these clans, certain clans, and shot them off? We'll find out eventually.
I don't know if I'm misremembering this. I always thought that Iron Hands were one of those chapters that didn't have successors, like Space Wolves and Salamanders.
Yeah,
Space Wolves and Salamanders that for sure never had successors. I think that was subtly retconned later, but
Yeah, and it might be like limited successors. Like they might have the second founding, and then from there, those ones might have the branching of the Iron Hands gene seed.
Yeah.
But the Iron Hands may have never broke again.
Yeah, but again, like they could totally be misremembering. Even
Yeah.
I just always assumed it was like them.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Iron Council. After the drop site massacre, the Iron Hands abandoned singular leadership, embracing a cold collective mind. The Iron Council, composed of the most augmented warriors, replaced the lost Primarch, ensuring no flesh-bound weakness would command again. Each of the 10 clan companies operates as an autonomous machine, led by Iron Fathers who enforce logic over emotion. One Iron Father from each clan sits on the Iron Council. Leadership is temporary, elected, and devoid of individuality. An iron chain of command ruled by pure function. The Council's decisions are made in the Eye of Medusa, a fortified vault where 41 Iron Fathers plug directly into data thrones, exchanging binary and noospheric bursts. Votes are cast as ingots, dropped without identity, silver for logic, bronze for deviation, falling like iron into the scales of logic. Through the Codex Astartes and alliance with the Mechanicus, the Iron Hands have eliminated fallibility. They do not lead, they calculate. They purge, they endure in steel and silence.
That's so crazy the way they make that call. They just fucking dropping ingots of iron, just like no words are being spoken, just this clanging of metal.
Is there like any artistic depiction of the Eye of Medusa, or is it only described in literature?
Have you ever seen a bunch of Catholic priests together? That's kind of what it looks like. Just black
No,
and white robes in a big room.
No, because it's a building. It's like a
Sure, but like a big Catholic conclave. Jordan, let me have my comparisons here.
I think it's probably something like this would be the closest one I could find. So all their clans, they have like their mortal engines, land trains.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I always love like the building, the architecture of 40K. It's always kind of fun and over the top.
Hey, that Citadel's driving at me.
Why are the buildings moving?
Yeah.
Forgive me, Iron Father, for I have sinned. Let's talk about the Iron Fathers. Within the Iron Hands chapter, spiritual guidance is not entrusted to emotion-bound priests, but to Iron Fathers, beings forged in steel and logic. These figures stand as the total fusion of chaplain and tech marine, extinguishing superstition and sentiment, replacing them with doctrine rooted in mechanical purity and unyielding purpose. Iron Fathers are not mere custodians of faith, they are guardians of the Iron Hands' core tenet. Flesh is weakness, machinery is truth. Their catechisms are binary code, their sermons delivered through Vox synthesizers and data implants. They maintain the spiritual discipline of the chapter not by prayer, but by recalibration of mind, body, and machine. When they are not tending to the spiritual efficiency of their warriors, Iron Fathers sit among the Iron Council, where their voices, augmented by the cold computation, guide the fate of the chapter. In that chamber of steel and logic, they act not as individuals, but as conduits for the iron will of Medusa, ensuring that every decision, every decree is free from corruptions of the flesh, doubt, and deviation. Here, devotion is quantified, belief is mechanized, and even faith must serve calculation.
So is devotion quantified as either a 0 or a 1? That was the first thing they had to debate.
Yeah.
Did they make like an Iron Hands creed?
Oh, I'm sure they do. Yeah, we do get to some. Thou shalt purge.
Flesh is
Thou
weak.
shalt. The flesh is weak. Yeah. They have one more little aspect. I forget if I talked about in the last episode or if it's in this episode. They have also Mechanicus priests that kind of serve beside this council and help them do some calculations. I think it's in this episode, so we'll get to them. They're kind of another piece of this Iron Council's decision making. But first, we'll go into their clan companies. The Iron Hands are divided into 10 clan companies, each a self-contained engine of war. Every clan is 100 warriors strong, autonomous, and shaped by the iron doctrine of Medusa. Their purpose is singular. Purge weakness. Here you go. You writing this down, Jordan? Their purpose is singular. Purge weakness, embrace logic, and replace the flawed flesh with the certainty of steel. Jordan, you did that with your penis. It was flawed. It was frail.
Deformed even.
Deformed, yes. But now it is replaced.
It's clean.
I've become
pure.
sanctified
Sanctified, yeah.
in the loving fire of technology.
Now go forth, Jordan. Purge and weakness. Purge the weakness with your mighty steel dongle.
Can't wait till it becomes the relic found by the Iron Hands. The dongle of perfection.
Oh man, yeah. Yikes. The chapter's origins lie in the shattered remnants of the 10th Legion. Their Primarch Ferrus Manus was the first to die at Istvan V, and the Iron Hands have never forgiven themselves for that failure. They believe their fury led to their downfall. Since that day, emotion is treated as a flawed, to be exercised. They measure every action in calculated efficiency and abhor organic imperfection. Yeah, man, you start like, oh, my eyes are getting a little fuzzy, and they just fucking rip it out on the spot. Okay, apothecary. Recruitment is brutal. Trial beneath Medusa's shifting skies. Aspirants are tested amidst seismic chaos, earning their place beneath iron scrutiny. There is no fortress monastery, only the ever-moving land behemoths, automated relics that traverse the violent terrain, carrying each clan's war gears, relics, and machine saints. Clan companies maintain integral hierarchy and operate independently, sometimes clashing in sanctioned combat to ensure strength. Rivals, not brothers, push one another to relentless perfection. Each warrior sheds his past identity upon transfer, reborn into his new clan, loyal until death or promotion. Their commanders are iron captains. Their squads are calves? Slaves. I don't know how to say that one, but their weapons are tools of correction. The Iron Hands walk a paradox. They worship logic, yet preserve ritual. They reject emotion, yet cling to tradition. Though they despise flesh, they honor the names of long-dead clans. Though they discard weakness, they remember it. Their machine hearts beat with hollow precision, and every strike they make is a step further from humanity. 9 of the 10 current clan companies trace their lineage back to the Great Crusade. The others are lost, consumed by war, destroyed in the quiet culling of imperfection. In the cold forge of their design, the Iron Hands are not just warriors, they are the inevitability of the end of flesh. Yeah, they all operate pretty similar. There are some distinctions, and we'll get into them. I do have the 10 clans and kind of like a nice little summary. But they like to operate. They're all doing the same thing, you know. They're all crunching ones and zeros. At the end of the day, they're all following the Iron Council, you know. The first company is called Clan Avernii. Once the elite guard of Ferrus Manus, Clan Avernii still bears the shame of failing to save their Primarch at Istvan V. Promotion into their ranks is a burden as much as an honor. Demanded absolute rejection and ancestral failure through augmentation and relentless strength. Their symbol, the white skull and a black hexagon, marks warriors expected to be more machine than man. Hey, that's kind of the first time this has maybe been brought up recently. Like, how much really like Istvan V affected them. Christian, do you remember like way back in the day, like the lore for the Iron Hands is they used to not have like a lot of Terminators and stuff, and they suffered so much from Istvan V even 10,000 years later?
I don't remember, but like they very much play up the Primarch death shock. I mean, the Blood Angels are still suffering from direct consequences psychically. I don't know or don't remember how that translated into 40k though. Like back
Yeah,
then.
it was like specifically like weird war gear things. Like in order to create like a frontal tank assault, they had to gather a bunch of resources. It was a huge ordeal. It seemed like for a long time we got lore like that, but it seems like it's kind of been dialed down. We got a little bit of that same vibe of lore with like Corax's Legion, where it's just like it was whittled down and they're still recovering from Istavan, and like
Yeah, it's almost like the Crimson Fists are perpetually rebuilding.
yeah,
Even though the
exactly.
Ultramarines have been like decimated like 3 times over and still come back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But going through this, I feel like they've definitely corrected a little bit of that taken away, and even that you've never even really noticed it. Kind of maybe.
Yeah, I'd never really closely followed the Iron Hands, to be honest. So I don't know what their were. That's why even earlier, like I said, I could be totally off base. They may have always had successor chapters. I never paid attention to them.
Well, pay attention to the second company, Clan Garsak. Under Iron Father Cardan Stranos, Clan Garsak executed a devastating attack against the Crimson King Necrons, refusing retreat where logic might dictate. They coordinate entirely through simulus communion, dispensing with all organic interaction and planning. Their emblem, 2 interlocking cogs, reflects their seamless integration of flesh and machine. And all these clans are like the current, kind of their current 40k vibe too, by the way. They do have like we were saying, a lot of them go back 10,000 years and have that 10,000 year lineage, but this is kind of their current vibe. Clan Rokan. Shattered at Scarvis and nearly purged for failure, Clan Rokan clawed its way back to relevance, only to face corruption from within. Through disciplined leadership under Arven Routh, they earned redemption in multiple campaigns, including the defense of Medusa during the 13th Black Crusade. Their emblem, 3 hex bolts, marks the lineage forged in disgrace and rebuilt through war. Yeah, each one of these is very much like self-flagellating, hey? They're like, we fucked up, but now we're back and better than ever.
There's a strong Catholic undertone that I never picked up on until today for the Iron Hands.
Yeah, they got
even
their
with their schisms sure. And their, yeah.
I mean, there's a strong Catholic undertone.
Yeah, under all of 40k, for sure. Yes. But I mean, like specifically the Iron Hands, like it keeps popping.
Yeah, there's more. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Clan Cargill, the 4th company, commanded by the ancient dreadnought Banis. Clan Cargill embodies cold, calculated warfare, planning every engagement to its final stroke before the final shot is fired. They deploy only with perfect precision, treating war as a mechanical solution to a problem. Their symbol, a lone cog, reflects their unyielding devotion to efficiency. Fucking led by dreadnoughts. Yeah, that's one thing that's very notable about them is lots of dreadnoughts. So this was another switch that I found when reading. At one point, they said they only had 6 dreadnoughts in the whole chapter. You know, and I remember reading that from like very old lore, and you click some links and eventually you find, it's from an older codex or whatever. But yeah, now they have a bunch, and they do have a bunch in like leading the companies and stuff, and that's always been a thing. But it seems like their armory has definitely been beefed up though. The 5th company, the Clan Harmech. Clan Harmech's recruits are recruits from among Gorgon's forged serfs, elevating machine-born labor into lethal reverence for relic technology. As the custodians of Medusa's arcane artificia, they guard the chapter's technological heritage with ruthless devotion. Their emblem, a hexagon with a cog, marks them as the silent protectors of the omniscience hoarded secrets. Cool. Christian, you want to read the next 5? I feel like I messed up my notes here in naming.
I would love nothing more than to name the next 5.
Yes.
All right. We got 6th company, Clan Sorgol, tasked with guarding the ever-shifting boundaries of the Medusan Reach. Clan Sorgol's strength is constantly depleted by perpetual defense. Their efforts are relentless, marked by calculated sacrifice and unrelenting vigilance. Their symbol, a wrench head with a cog, reflects their utilitarian purpose as maintainers of the chapter's frontier. So these guys are the ones doing all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, fighting in like the domains that they have, keeping their kind of kingdom safe. Their Medusan reach, that kind of area of space.
The 7th Company, Clan Borgos. Sorry. Clan Borgos bears the legacy of ancient heresy from the Moria schism, and their every action remains shadowed by lingering distrust. They rarely operate as a unified force, serving instead as a second reserve company in scattered support. Their emblem, an isolated wrench with a cog, marks them as both tools of war and reminders of deviation.
Cool. I like that one, this reserve company concept that's kind of then scattered to the other clans and watchful eye.
Yeah, it's a good way to make sure they don't schism again. Although, again, their schisms seem to be more constructive than destructive.
Yeah.
Normal. Right. 8th Company, Clan Morlag. Clan Morlag exemplifies precision over fury. Their every strike calculated to pivot the fate of battle in a single blow. Their methods elevate shock warfare to a mechanical art, timing every action with flawless logic. Their symbol, a pair of turning cogs within a larger cog, signifies the interlocked perfection of their tactics. I mean, pretty straightforward company.
Yeah.
The 9th Company, Clan Vergan. Based on the Wayland land behemoth, Clan Vergan excels in precision fire and decisive strikes, yet they are notorious for their unrestrained aggression. The Iron Council has turned to cybernetic adjustment to restrain their wrath, imposing machine logic where discipline failed. Their emblem, a lightning strike with a cog, signifies both their violent efficiency and the tempering force of augmentation. So that one's interesting. They actually get too emotional on the destructive side, and they are actually tempered down through cybernetic restraint, which is curious.
But yeah, you purge the weakness that way, I suppose. Like all sin is equal, I guess. All weakness is equal, whether it's mind or flesh. So either way, you lop it off and give yourself a cool, shiny metal part.
Sure, but they just the fact that they can behaviorally control them, like what does that actually look like? Do they have like emotion dials they just turn down on you? And like externally, like is this the Iron Father being like, okay guys, it's a little bit much, and then or
Christian,
like
it's like that movie, that Pixar movie Inside Out, where you have a bunch of little people inside your head and like the bridge of a ship.
I take medication to get rid of those people in my head.
Probably for the best.
All right. Finally, the 10th Company, Clan Dorvok. Clan Dorvok shapes the future of the chapter, indoctrinating neophytes to despise their flesh and embrace cold logic. These recruits must first purge all weakness, fear, pain, anger, before they can serve as the true sons of Ferrus Manus. Their symbol, a cog within a cog, centered by a white skull, marks both origin and obligation.
Very cool. Now, I forget which one of those was the new one. Like, which 9 have been around since the Horus Heresy? Maybe I'll find the answer. Maybe it's already in the notes, but keep your eye out for that. Which one's kind of up and coming?
All right. So those are all the companies. Now we'll get into the home world, or worlds, plural. So Medusa is a world of iron, storm, and unyielding stone, an unforgiving wasteland carved by ice and industry. Its surface is a patchwork of nomadic clan warrens, ancient mining pits, and vast thunder-scarred forges, where flesh is secondary to function. Only the unbreakable survive on Medusa, and even they are reshaped by its merciless demands into beings of steel and purpose. During the 13th Black Crusade, when Abaddon the Despoiler unleashed his forces upon the planet, the Iron Hands met the assault with steel and fire. The conflict that followed was not a battle. It was an industrialized slaughter, the grinding of machine against corrupted flesh. It became the largest armored engagement recorded since the Horus Heresy, a crucible of metal, will, and planetary scale attrition. In the aftermath,
sorry to cut you off there. I think they were involved in Talaran as well, weren't they, Christian? Or is that which was like the biggest tank battle history ever? Or was that the Iron Warriors? Maybe I'm thinking.
Yeah, like I said, I've always known very little about the Iron Hands. I have no idea.
Man, this is why people hate you. Hey, somebody came in. He's like, "Oh, glad to see Christian's final episode." Yeah, we're back to it. Final.
Why am I even here?
episode.
I know nothing about Iron Hands. I'm here to
Yeah.
learn, Mark.
Oh.
here
And
to
if I
learn.
was a better teacher, this failure is actually on me for all
this is
these
you.
years.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
In the aftermath of the Great Rift coming, Medusa endured further contamination. The Death Guard, the Cleaved, and the Purge descended upon the Iron Hands domain like a plague of rot upon steel. Though the invaders were repelled, their taint remained. Entire regions of Medusa were sealed, placed under indefinite quarantine, preserved as cold reminders of imperfection and the price of survival. The Iron Hands endured unbroken, having sacrificed the weak to reinforce the strong. Yeah, it'd be a tough place to invade, and I don't even understand like why you'd want to occupy the planet. It seems like just a terrible planet to want to control.
They do have some cool like tech vaults on it from the Dark Age, but like I'm sure the common person wouldn't really know that. Like, yeah, Abaddon invades this place only out of spite to the Iron Hands. I'm trying to find exactly where it is on the map, but I'm pretty sure it's right here. Like it's so close to being on the Eye of Terror. So they were like one of the first kind of defenders too on the way out.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, there's some notable locations. We've talked a little bit about Medusa in previous episodes, but these locations were kind of interesting.
All right, first up we have Telstarax. The Telstarax is a relic of a colder age, an orbital machine of impossible scale, encircling Medusa like a metallic predator. Constructed in the dark age of technology, its function was brutal efficiency, extraction, and exploitation. It siphoned Medusa 4's strategic minerals into the void, feeding the demands of an empire long since dead. Even in the era of Ferrus Manus, the station was a shattered husk, much of it fallen to the surface below, forming twisted ruins that scar the planet to this day. Yet the machine endures. The tech marines of the Iron Hands probe its systems, interpreting the dormant machine spirits that whisper of anticipation, of a function not yet fulfilled. They detect patterns like the prelude to activation, cycles waiting to resume their cold purpose. What the purpose is remains unspoken. A threat or a weapon, the Iron Hands wait without fear, for they too serve the logic of the machine. Cue Halo music.
Yeah, cool. It seems like there's a lot more of these massive starships that chapters own, whether it's the Phalanx or the Blood Angels have Skyfall, or there's a bunch other that we've been learning about. But this is another cool one. But this one is not like functional. This is almost more like a Space Hulk in the way that they treat it, where they go up, raid some technology, and try to get cut back down.
Yeah, I was almost picturing like the orbital ship yards around Mars, like the giant ring around the planet.
Yeah.
And then like pieces of it are broken and fallen down. It may not be like that, but that's just immediately where my mind went.
Sure, I could see that being pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. The vaults of Medusa. Beneath Medusa's surface lie the vaults, repositories of forbidden knowledge, stockpiled during the Great Crusade for Medusa 4 and beyond. Inside are relics of humanity's forgotten empire, nanoplagues that consume flesh cell by cell, radphages that unmake matter, amalgam bioautomata bred for calculated destruction. The Emperor himself outlawed such technologies, yet the Iron Hands keep them locked in steel, not out of reverence, but out of readiness. When the galaxy descended into civil war, the Medusan Council, born from the death of Ferrus Manus and hardened by necessity, broke the seals. In the long, bitter years of the heresy and great scouring, they unleashed the vault's terrible payloads upon Colchis and the Wordbearers, scouring their foes with the very horrors mankind once feared to build. In the Iron Hands doctrine, There is no heresy in victory, no sin in efficiency. There is only survival forged in metal and fire. The Iron Hands are very totalitarian, or not totalitarian, utilitarian in, like the ends always justify the means with them. Like that's also a common recurring theme of theirs.
Yeah. Forbidden tech heresy? Well, not if
get
we
the job
win.
done. Yeah, exactly. It's only a war crime the first time.
I sort of picture them having like a cold materialist sort of outlook where anything that helps your survival is objectively a good and a justified thing, and there's no moral considerations outside of that.
Yeah. Which is how they are raised on their planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool place, those vaults, like all these Dark Age. Anytime there's like that mystery, I know lots of people want like the setting to do some Dark Age type setting, do like a 25K. And yeah, it'd be cool, but it wouldn't be 40K. But it's a cool setting nonetheless,
Yeah, and I do love all those little, like the artifacts are scattered all over 40K, and that's what makes them really cool is little glimmers and peeks into this forgotten age. Just kind of side note, they are talking about the Scouring series that's coming out, and I'm intrigued.
Yeah, man, we've talked about it, like obviously doing what happens to the Primarchs in the Scouring. Like there's some really cool theories and options of what they could do.
Or they'll ruin it just like the heresy. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully it's like, man, how do you do it? It can't be over 20 books long. Like if every chapter gets more than a book, like, oh my God. But it also could be very cool. Yeah.
And there'll be cool things that come out of it and lots of terrible
things. As is tradition. Cool spots. We'll do some quick flora and fauna on Medusa. So maybe if you're not into ancient tech, maybe you're a hunter and you want to go after the elusive mountain yark, a creature resembling something between a giant leopard and a primate. You interested?
Lots of creatures resemble something in between those things.
Do you think you could kill something between a giant leopard and a primate, or just kind of?
It has to look more like Puma.
I'd prefer to have it as my pet than to hunt it.
Okay. Well, this thing's several meters tall and with broad shoulders. Their long arms and powerful bodies are covered with black, shaggy hair, and their heads have manes. Yarks are a very fierce beast and frequently used by the youth or the young Medusan clansmen to compete for the attention of the Iron Hands, recruiting new neophytes. Yeah, so go kill one of these bad boys, or in Jordan's case, I don't know, take it home and befriend it. What are you going to do with it as a pet?
Domesticate it and use it. Well, kill people with it, of course.
Okay, so not like sit, roll over, fluffy, jump through this hula hoop. It's more.
No, well, I mean, maybe at home it'll be nice and cuddly, but when we're in the field, it's a killing machine.
We got a great question from the chat. Can Christian only fight things without thumbs?
I haven't tested that. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, I've seen you fight some homeless people before, so I know you can fight at least.
But they did have their thumbs amputated, though. So.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, the frostbite got them. Yeah. Fuck. Okay, well, they also got the arcs, and that's a beast with antlers. Not much more. They're out there though in the plains of Medusa.
The oryx. Those are real, eh?
Oh, are they?
Oryx, yeah.
Really?
Oryxes, yeah.
Is that like
they look almost like antelope or like wildebeests?
Ah, look at that.
There he is.
Yeah, now just imagine that leaping over like molten lava.
The same?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's got a bolter strapped to the side of it.
Some tech doodads all over.
Yeah, bionic leg.
Complete side note, but just because we're talking about it, I really despise how the squats have like real animal totems on their backs. They have like a horse and like I think like a warthog or something. And so unless those animals like either pass down through like genetic memory or like through stories, or were like transplanted all over the galaxy from Earth, like it's kind of weird. But with that all in mind, with like the oryx, like is it possible that like very early humans when they landed on Medusa brought, test species and just littered the planet with them? Are they different and they just kept the name? sometimes we will name mythological animals after mythological things.
Sure.
So we heard the story of an oryx. This resembles an oryx on our planet, so we'll call it the same thing, but it's actually a different animal. Who knows? There's dozens of different theories, but
they're there.
Yeah, I just made them up. And now they're out there. You can't take them back.
No, you cannot. Cool.
All right, let's get into quickly the domains. So 16 other star systems held in tributary fiefdom to the Iron Hands since the closure of the Great Crusade. Numerous independently operated outposts, way stations, and holdfasts established. Full number and position remains unknown. One such domain being Sithenelus system, the primary system. These do not seem to be recruiting worlds, as a side note.
Yeah, we did not have a lot of information on these dominions, but it definitely popped out to me 16 star systems. That's a lot. But yeah, we talk so much about the clans coming from these land behemoth mobile engines and being on Medusa. They definitely really don't recruit for them. However, I could see there being a cool character recruited from one of them. And I used this Iron Hand exception where their librarians, they actually will recruit from the black ships that are passing by. So those aren't native Medusans that they're getting for their librarians. So maybe you could have a cool story of one of the dominions kind of doing something.
Maybe they produced one guy that's worth being a space marine.
Exactly. That extreme one-off interesting story, but yeah.
And his whole character arc is how he's trying to fit in with the Medusan born, and there's lots you could do with it, Mark. In Mark's 16-part novella series
coming out June.
Yeah. All right. And on that note, let's talk about recruitment. Each clan company of the Iron Hands oversees its own recruitment, selecting only from Medusa's nomadic tribes. Candidates are chosen for unwavering resilience and stripped of all weakness. Those who survive initial culling are delivered to Clan Dorvok, subjected to a decade of pitiless trials on the barren wastes of Uranus. Survival is rare. Aspirants are expendable, driven to annihilate each other under the calculated gaze of their overseers. Couple of interesting notes right out of the gate. The clan companies are actually recruiting their own recruits. I wonder if they're it may not be this way, but I'm just guessing if they earmark them to be okay, we want you in the 8th company. We recruited you from the 8th company. They go through that scout company and then they come back to the 8th company, or, they just identify potential recruits for the whole chapter as a whole, and then they get sorted after the fact. No, they would go back to their companies, right? Because their companies are kind of based out of their home cities or whatever.
Yeah, and their companies are their clans are self-sufficient and with war gear. So I would imagine even recruits that'd be self-sufficient.
Yeah, interesting. That's a little different. And the other one is that they kill each other. Some trials are more so recruits against nature, recruits against some big challenge, but in this case, their challenge is each other. So any Iron Hand that's become a Space Marine has already killed his own kin.
Nice.
Interesting.
Purged weakness already.
Yeah. Even as battle brothers, there is no mercy. Missions are designed to crush all but the most brutally efficient. As a result, the chapter's ranks are dominated by hardened veterans, with few scouts or novices. Iron Fathers constantly scour Medusa for new recruits, while Psychers are taken from passing black ships. Their creed remains absolute. Flesh is frailty, only steel endures. Yeah, and that doesn't make sense, right? They've already fought people of equal standing to get into the chapter at all. Yeah. So by the time they become even Space Marines, they're already hardened warriors.
Thugs, little 13-year-old.
But again, I was gonna say, I always got to remember these are kids, man.
So we've talked about their gene seed. Not much has changed for them. The Iron Hand gene seed exhibits no organic faults traceable to their gene seed, but their absolute rejection to frailty, both in themselves and others. This might suggest a deeper flaw, rooted in an unacknowledged psychological imperfection encoded within their genetic legacy. Though their physiology already surpasses human limits, the bionics they graft upon themselves offer marginal physical benefit, serving instead to erase any trace of flesh. Some believe the Legion suffer from a form of mechanized dysphoria. The gene seed ritual, the taking of the soul steel, is a clinical purging of emotion, fear, pain, fury, replaced with only logic and cold reserve and self-erasure. Yeah, not a lot of flaws. I'm pretty sure all of their gene seed is active. Like they can spit, they can do whatever. And if it wasn't active, they will just do some type of, like a little fucking hand wash soap dispenser. They figure out a way to
face.
Yeah, exactly. Spit that acid.
Yeah, it's kind of sad if you think about it that their gene seed is so pure, and yet they see themselves as dirty. Like.
Yeah.
As being wrong, like there's kind of a sadness in that.
Yeah. Well, I've never let my daddy die, but maybe I'd feel that same way too if I fucked up that bad.
Oh my gosh. Was it their fault though? I don't
know. Combat doctrine. In the late 41st millennium, the Iron Hand's absolute intolerance of weakness and rot had reshaped every aspect of their doctrine and deployment, extended even to their self-perception. To them, flesh is a liability, fragile, corruptible, prone to failure. Even the engineered physiology of the Adeptus Astartes, built for war, is a temporary system awaiting obsolescence. Any trace of imperfection, visible or imagined, is excised, replaced, and reforged into machinery without hesitation. For the Iron Hands, self-mutilation through augmentation is not extremity, it is evolution. I don't know if we mentioned, we probably talked about this already, just the sort of very transhumanist vibes, which is weird saying about, because you could say that about any space marine, right?
Yeah, I suppose,
They're all kind of got those transhuman aspects to them, but it's especially prevalent with the Iron Hands that they're being human is actually seen as a flaw, and you have to upgrade yourself indefinitely. And I don't know, it's just kind of an interesting commentary on a lot of philosophies that are floating in the ether in our own world today.
Yeah, I like that. They all are transhumans. You're right, for sure, right off the get-go. But then these guys kind of went that instead of the biological route of transhumanism, where even the Astartes, they're not reproducing naturally. They are kind of in their own weird transhuman way. But yeah, the Iron Hands went that mechanical route.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I will counter that more so in the vein of transhumanism of transcending the Space Marines debatably they are in a practical sense, but in a philosophical sense, depending on how you view the Emperor's grand design, they were actually just more so, and whether or not even this is true, but more so tools rather than being the upgrade to humanity. Humanity was intended to inherit the Imperium.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, they're not meant as a next step of human evolution, which is exactly why they're not meant to reproduce. They're supposed to serve a purpose.
But then that
functionally, they are transhuman. Yeah.
Yeah, but that makes the Iron Hands kind of an aberration among.
Yeah, because they see it as they are actually ascribing to the transhumanist philosophy.
Exactly.
Rather than that blanket statement of all Space Marines.
Right. Yeah.
I'm making a minor petty distinction. But.
Yeah. I only say the other Space Marines are transhuman, just in the sense that they're
in practical terms.
Yeah. Just
they've ascended.
Yeah, and their sort of genetic modification, right? Because that's also a part of transhumanism. It's not just chopping off your arm and getting mechanical arm. It's gene slicing and stuff like that is a big part of it as well.
Yeah, manipulating your essence either through mechanical or biological means. I was gonna say something and I totally gone now. They often describe Space Marines or the effects Space Marines have as either transhuman or humans feeling transhuman dread when facing space race. So like,
yeah.
still there.
I could imagine, if like imagine you're just a regular human meeting an Astartes, which probably a lot of humans never even encounter an Astartes in real life.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah.
And then, but like the first time you encounter an Astartes in that rare occasion, it's like that would be almost terrifying. Like you're looking at some kind of uncanny valley, like something that is human-like, but they're not human.
Yep.
And then all the more like, what if you in 40K you meet an Iron Hand Astartes who's like even way beyond just a typical Astartes. So
Depends how much exposure you have to the tech cult, but yeah, those machine priests get pretty weird too. Yeah, but what you're describing is how a lot of early humans in like the Horus Heresy, like you have these big hulks that move faster than they should. They don't look quite right. Like they're too fast or too strong. They're like, and that also feeds into the whole like mythology around them, like being lit, like becoming religious. They're angels. They are angels of death. They're
they're Titans, Anunnaki.
Yeah, beyond
Nephilim,
human.
Yeah. All right. To their minds, the machine is not merely ideal, it is salvation. This contempt for the organic is distilled and weaponized by the Iron Fathers, who channel this focused hatred into every battle engagement. The Iron Hands advance like a silent storm, methodical and unyielding, driven not by fury, but by logic as cold as iron. They strike with mechanical precision, sacrificing nothing to chaos or sentiment. Where others roar in fury, they march in silence. Their hatred is not fire, it is ice. Unlike other chapters whose war cries drown out enemy guns, the Iron Hands wage war in total silence. On Medusa, the winds strip voice from the throat. The chapter sees noise as wasted energy. Each campaign is conducted with minimal vocalizations, comms reserved for vital commands. When they disembark, there are no hymns, only the low hum of servo motors and the thrum of armored hearts. They advance like silent executioners, bolter fire punctuating the quiet, like methodical punctuation. A little redundant there. The Iron Hands never break formation. Never accelerate or hesitate, moving like synchronized engines across kill zones. Defenses crumble before them with clinical finality. In battle, their minds are stripped of distraction. Only calculations remain. They are the embodiment of suppression, the annihilation of chaos through logic, hate, and steel.
There's like a reoccurring, not rhetorical, but like narrative element around everything with like machines in 40K2. The silence, this like marching forward, in like synchronized movement to them. It's a lot like also the Necron. At least the early Necron were often described like that.
Yeah.
So just wanted to point out that parallel.
Yeah. Yet under the iron casings, something burns. Ancient, buried rage. 10 millennia of abandonment, betrayal, grief. When unleashed, the Iron Hands become a weapon beyond prediction. Feral machine vengeance, augmented fury made flesh. In this rare state, they are unstoppable, overwhelming even the strongest opposition with unrestrained violence, augmented by soulless precision. Their initial assault may appear measured, yet when the switch is thrown, they become pure velocity, steel thunder, ripping into enemy fortifications like storms of metal and fire. Clad in silence, they break bodies and bastions with claws, fists, and weapons integrating into their flesh. Each strike is calculated, but in these moments, emotion fuses with augmentation, rage converted to ordnance. Due to tragic losses at Istvan V, the Iron Hands have few surviving dreadnoughts or Terminator suits. The few relics that remain are venerated, their fusion of man and machine treated with reverent paranoia. Entire squads clad in tactical dreadnought armor are rare, but those that remain shape the battle doctrine, serving as both spearhead and symbol of immutable strength. Some clan leaders exist only as minds entombed within sarcophagi of ceramite and steel, warriors who refused to die.
So yeah, that was Mark's point there of the if they didn't suffer, like if they're not ongoingly suffering from the losses that is fan, they're suffering from the loss of like irreplaceable dreadnoughts and Terminator armor, which are pretty rare.
Yeah.
It is kind of interesting to note that those two elements would be, you would expect to find more of it in like a tech-based type chapter, but in this case, it's not the case.
Well, I feel like, man, this was kind of the canon conflict that I ran into when writing this, was these two kind of vibes of, you know, maybe that old kind of more mythical 40K we kind of grew up with. This is kind of a holdover relic from that, and it doesn't quite hold true. It never really did, I don't think. Like you said, they are the tech people. Why wouldn't they have stuff? Like, I know they lost a bunch of stuff, but they still had enough stuff left over to make 4 chapters.
There's always kind of that like conflict with like on paper versus on tabletop, or like conflicting lore where like Terminator armor is described as rare, but it never really said how rare it is, right? So they keep that vagueness on purpose. You know, the Ultramarines lose all their Terminators at one point and somehow seem to replenish them. So again, like those things that are like, okay, we just take it as a given on its face, but like in practical terms, how many suits of armor are there out there? Who knows? Is rarity in the Iron Hands mean that they can still deploy a whole company's worth? They just don't have that many backups relative to another chapter, right? Like,
yeah,
we don't know. Is that 1,000 extra suits? Is that 100? Is that 10?
Yeah. You know, it's not the worst thing, like you said, GW. If you want to pick at number problems, you can start
all day. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have a whole numbers episode of 40K.
Oh God. One cool outcome of this is they do often have sergeants and just even regular tactical squads equipping Terminator armor, just because it's easier to do that than have full squads, I guess. Or they just kind of like separating them out like that. So
yeah, rather than having a whole Terminator squad. That's kind of cool. I do like that.
Yeah.
All right. I think I was on point 8. Their isolationism, fixation on internal purity, and mechanical obsession disturb even the Adeptus Astartes. Other imperial institutions, like the Inquisition and Ecclesiarchy, tolerate them but do not trust them. To the Iron Hands, outside judgment is irrelevant. They serve the Emperor by purging weakness, first in themselves, then everywhere else. They march to war with an arsenal that rivals Forge Worlds. Rows of battle tanks, Centurion armor, and machine spirits consecrated with binary hymns. Clan companies maintain entire war forges, each brother further integrated with the vehicle he controls. Heart replaced with engine rhythm, and instinct with targeting protocol. To drive a war machine is not duty. It is ascension. Every Iron Hands warrior carries a mark of metal. Their induction begins with the removal of the left hand, replaced by a cybernetic gauntlet of cold iron to signify renunciation of human frailty. Over time, more flesh is replaced, augmentics layered beneath plating and inside bone, hidden beneath warplate. For them, every severed limb is purification, every implant a victory against decay. Their augmentations are individualized, each body a canvas of mechanical refinement, orchestrated under Iron Father oversight. No two squads resemble one another beneath the armor, each battle brother following his own path of enhancement. On rare occasions, synchronized augmentations create units of terrifying efficiency, unbound by codex norms, configured for singular purpose. Though such formations seldom recur, their doctrines are fluid. ever evolving. Their only constant, the rejection of weakness in all forms, human, xenos, or divine. To be Iron Hands is to abandon humanity in pursuit of something superior. Cold logic housed in iron flesh, emotion purged except for the fuel of hate. They are not merely soldiers, they are the inevitability of metal. They are judgment, remorseless renewal, and the echo of Ferrus Manus's final conviction. Flesh is failure. Only iron endures. Except when it rusts.
Well, Jordan, you WD-40 the Iron Hands daily. That's part of their ritual.
The Iron Hands are actually always looking up to their new big brothers called the Steel Hands.
Oh man,
Slightly better. Yeah.
And don't even get me started on the Mithril Hands, those bastards.
Man, Mithril Hands is actually kind of a cool chapter name. Don't give me ideas.
Sons of bitches. I love this kind of group mutilation that they sometimes go along. Like this squad's like, do you guys want to be the best Devastator squad of like all time? Like calculating, calculating, yes.
Or they all cut off their dicks at the same time and become like Jordan.
The laser dicks.
Yeah.
We're getting a new generation of Iron Hands.
The Iron Cocks. These are the chapter of Space Marine Chickens, by the way.
They just have a rooster on their sigil. Yes. Don't
Iron
mistake their
Cocks.
intent.
They're brave, they're noble, they're feisty.
All right. Let's get in the calculum rationale. Even before the Horse Heresy fractured the Imperium, the Iron Hands operated with an unshakable belief. Victory is achieved not by reckless valor, but through calculated, overwhelming application of force. Since the tempering, this doctrine has only hardened, refined through logic and necessity into something absolute. To the Iron Hands, desperate engagements serve no purpose. In a galaxy where extinction is a constant equation, the Adeptus Astartes are not expendable. They are precision weapons, to be deployed only where success is assured. Any deployment that lacks the probability for victory is not bravery, it is statistical failure and thus unacceptable. Prior to each military engagement, the Iron Council convenes to perform the calculum rationale, a mechanical audit of war. Every relevant datum is examined, enemy numbers and armor strength, allied support, artillery trajectories, atmospheric conditions, orbital alignment, probability curves, variables layered into unbroken chains of logic. From the input, a conclusion is derived. The conclusion is precise. It determines the exact number of warriors, vehicles, and auxiliary personnel required to mathematically secure victory for the Imperium. No more and no less. If the required asset exists, they are deployed with zero deviation. Reinforcements are never sent, failure is not anticipated, and those who fall are not replaced. The plan is flawless, the execution must be as well. If the Iron Hands cannot meet the minimum threshold for success, they do not engage. To act without certainty is to undermine purpose. As a result, their records are filled with war zones abandoned, continents left to fall, and worlds consigned to ash. Not for lack of will, but for lack of calculated sufficiency. The ledger of the Iron Council is both monument and indictment. Evidence of worlds condemned for want of a single bolter, a solitary scout, or the absence of a single gunship.
Yeah, as Jordan said, like the morality is not a part of their calculation. It's outcome, and efficiency. So yeah, that's the calculum rationale. But then they also have the calculus of battle, and they also have the magi calculi, which is that group of AdMech people helping them. But we'll get to the calculus of battle first. Between engagements or while traversing the warp aboard their battle barges, the Iron Hand warriors are often sealed within cryostasis pods. There, they interface with data streams of the machine spirits, absorbing tactical systematics and strategic knowledge. This practice feeds into the cold, overarching logic engine known as the calculus of battle, a hexamathic combat system that reduces war to pure variables. Every factor is measured, every enemy maneuvers, logistical flow, projected casualties, atmospheric anomalies, all calculated into precise formulae. Once the correct conclusion is arrived, the Iron Hands unleash their verdict into absolute indifference or indifference. Their assault is immediate, efficient, and merciless. Allies are secondary, collateral damage irrelevant. Within the calculus, civilians do not exist. They are zeros in an equation that demands only outcome, never compassion. Yeah, man, if you find yourself in the way of a stray bolter shell, that's on you, you fucking civilian. You just wasted one of the Emperor's precious bolter shells, which is a crime, I have you know.
A crime punishable by death. So in a way, you actually fulfilled your purpose and
Yeah.
now are made right.
But just to be safe, hit him with another bolter shell.
I love that's like very 40k logic, actually. It's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Oh, sorry, I had muted. So now we'll do the Magi calculi. The Iron Hands rarely commit to a campaign unless overwhelming victory is all but guaranteed. To that end, they employ Adeptus Mechanicus tech priest, known as the Magi calculi, whose job it is to analyze data and ascribe it to strategic worth and likelihood of victory. However, the Iron Council can overrule the decision of the Magi calculi, as seen when Cardan Stranos disregards their conclusions and joined Reboot Gilliman's Indomitus Crusade anyway. Can you imagine giving like a math nerd religious significance? These guys are crazy.
Nice. Yes.
If I ever run a Fortune 500, I'm definitely renaming the accounting department to Magi Calculi. I'm gonna rename the shit out of the organization.
Yes.
Are you guys familiar with the Pythagorean cult in like ancient Greece? Well, like the Pythagorean theory. They developed it, and it's sort of like still used in math today. But there was like a whole cult that almost worshipped math and thought it was actually like given to them by the gods, and like through doing calculations you could sort of ascend. It's very weird and strange.
It's kind of fun though. Like through math, we understand the universe. You know, you can do all those calculations, and I get that. And through math, like they teach you math in school, not because everyone needs to know algebra, but to teach you logic and thought process or whatever. So I can see that's like the level of elevation. Cool. Well, I've found out about a new cult I might look into and join. I always love that. That makes for a fun weekend if you started to join a new cult.
I don't think there's any still around, but maybe there is.
Well,
this was like ancient Greece.
Even better if you're the leader. Yeah, you know, there are still people out there. There's still assholes out there, Jordan, believe it or not, that believe in like Viking gods being real and stuff. And like, I'm going to go to Valhalla. And you're like,
would you like me to send you there? Yeah, I don't know if you could do it, Mark. Some of their tenets are vegetarianism, sexual purity, and abstaining from touching beans, oddly enough.
No. Some of my favorite people are beaners, Christian. You know this.
Oh my gosh. All right. Okay, let's get into the beliefs of the Iron Hands. The Iron Hands are notorious for their pervasive integration of bionics, a practice that has forged a permanent, mutually beneficial alliance with the Adeptus Mechanicus. Following the Horse Heresy and the enforced dissolution of the Legions of Astartes, the Iron Hands retreated, becoming self-contained and obsessed with a singular objective: to purge all weakness, perfect themselves, and be worthy of serving Ferrus Manus, should he return at the end of days. Within the chapter, flesh is viewed not as a vessel, but as a flaw, an organic liability that must be replaced, corrected, and expunged. Their dedication to mechanization is extreme. Augmentation is not merely utility, it is creed. Rumors persist that some of their battle brothers have shed every fragment of biology, becoming machines in near totality. To the Iron Hands, the ultimate honor is not glory in battle. It is to transcend flesh entirely, entombed within the iron sarcophagus of a dreadnought. The ritual that begins this transition is known as the Blessing of Iron, during which mortal tissue is excised and replaced with sacred steel. They have abandoned the traditional chaplaincy, replacing it with Iron Fathers, Tech Marine priests who safeguard not just the flesh, but the cult machine spirit of faith. Outsiders whisper that this bond with the Mechanicus has grown too deep, too intimate. To the Iron Hands, such warnings are irrelevant. Faith is forged in code and steel, not in the frailty of flesh.
Yeah, cool. That's definitely an interesting aspect about them. Like, I just no other chapter really has that same tie. Maybe you could find one for sure, but that tie to the Mechanicus where they're so interwoven. Then we have the Forge Chain, is a specific type of belief they have. While the Iron Hands retain the traditional use of skull studs to mark service length, they now prioritize a far more invasive symbol of allegiance and endurance, the Forge Chain. The Forge Chain is an augmented spinal replacement, a series of cybernetic vertebrae linked by intricate neural conductors. Each segment is installed to replace flesh, fortifying not just the spine, but the warrior's loyalty. With every vertebrae exercised and replaced, the Iron Hands is indicted deeper into the chapter's mechanical hierarchy, each segment marking an entry into a new clan company, each manufactured to be the specifications of its forges. Clan Dorvok grafts its first segments from raw, unornamented iron, symbols of unyielding initiation for the new scouts. Clan Sorgal uses galvanite alloy etched with microfilament patterns, while Clan Rokan's editions were wrought from obsidian-hued sigillarnium, inlaid with thilidrite conduits to interface with the cortical processors. Official records insist that the Forge Chain is a symbol of unity, an emblem of interlocking purpose that refines the chapter's collective strength. Yet, there are quiet, mechanized murmurs among the ranks. Some say the true purpose of the Forge Chain is not to bind the warriors to brotherhood, but to recall the first chains Ferrus Manus forged around the sun's heart, a cold reminder that strength is born not of freedom, but from the perfect control and iron restraint. That's crazy, man. I could use that, honestly. My back's fucked. But I don't think I would react well to just having raw iron put in me. Obsidian, maybe. Probably not, though. Probably same outcome. Galvanized iron alloy. Maybe that one, actually. But I could definitely use a new spine for sure.
I'll make a new chapter, the mithril spines, in your honor, Mark.
Oh, yes. Yes, it's all jump pack assault people. And like, yeah, they want a training. The first thing they do is like jump and compress their spine. And
they're marginally shorter than other Astartes because of all the decompressed spine. Yeah. I do also wonder about the control piece of that, right? Like I mentioned earlier that we know that their emotions can be controlled, but what else can be controlled with that? You know, can the Iron Fathers just like shut you down? Can suddenly like your legs just stop working, or you just like they decide that you're too deviant and now we're gonna just completely pause your functions?
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing with like parts and machines and codes. You know, you can always literally just press a button that sends a code, and now that guy's eye has turned off.
Right. Yeah. In which case you should definitely give me control of your spine.
I'm always just walking around like this. Yeah, man, nice. Zach asks, I'm not totally sure, maybe clarify, why not intentionally lose parts to make the transition faster? No, yeah, okay, I think I get that. Maybe that's like the Mithril Spines chapter where they're intentionally jumping off cliffs to get their spines. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you do it very, very obviously and traumatically, you might like kill yourself doing it, right? Like surgically removing your arm is different than hacking it off with a butcher's knife, and then like it might work. It might work, but the risks are there.
Yeah.
Okay, the reported tech heresy. In the 41st millennium, amid the Jericho Reach, Mechwright Callum Eros of the Adeptus Mechanicus filed a classified transmission to his superiors and to Inquisitor Callister, detailing what he described as extreme tech heresy committed by the Iron Hands Astartes within the Celebos war zone during the Achilles Crusade, excuse me. Eros claimed to have witnessed, quote, towering biomechanical constructs, aberrations of flesh fused entirely with iron, unleashed against the stigmatis in the Acheros salient. These constructs bore the heraldry of the Iron Hands chapter, yet moved not as vehicles, but as living weapons, driven by animus rather than engines. I dissected the charred remains of one such monstrosity, what appeared to be a war chassis, animated by an Astartes who had divested himself of every scrap of organic tissue. Only elemental rage and machine logic remained. End quote. His dispatch was not met with concern, but hostility. The Archmagos Zinth immediately condemned the report as corrupted output. A retrieval unit of monotask servitors and a secutor was dispatched to seize Eros for system recalibration. His testimony was archived and sealed. No official corroboration has ever surfaced. The truth remains buried, either as error or as evidence of an evolution the Mechanicus refuses to acknowledge.
I love this. This opens up a cool thought of like a lot of chapters. They have like a Suicide Squad type concept. You know, the Blood Angels and the Black Company, or just whatever you can name them. There's a couple out there for sure. And how far do you think they take this like modification? Would we see like, you know, Necron destroyers, how they really modify their body outside of like the Necron form, like, and they do tripod legs or hover bodies? Like, how far are some of these Iron Hands really willing to take it in this like Suicide Squad type situation, you know?
Yeah, or even going down the tech heresy route and like what things are they willing to graft themselves? Like Necron tech, or
Sure.
what kind of corruption that could open them up to.
Yeah.
I'm sort of curious, can, like, when they become this mechanized, are they like more susceptible to chaos or less susceptible?
Chaos does have a mechanical element. There's like scrap code and like the chaos mechanic, and like there's machine demon hybrids. Like it doesn't make you immune from the warp, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and like even demons can possess metal. Like tanks can become possessed by demons and shit. So yeah.
I wonder if that would be a cool alt heresy of the Iron Hands falling to something like Slanesh.
Yeah.
Because of like the obsession then? Yeah. Okay.
That'd be an interesting thought. Or even having a character fall to Slanesh, driven mad of like augmenting himself. Alternatively, cool Necron Iron Hand hybrid.
Yeah.
Situations going on would be cool too. I just pictured like a captain or something, like thinking, Ferrus Manus got his metal hands from killing getting necrodermis on his hands. I'm going to intentionally try and replicate this and do the same and give himself like necrodermis hands, and then ends up possessing him because he's
there's an example of the Ultramarines like from the Third Company or whatever, Uriel Ventress's sidekick. I forget his name, but his name's like maybe like Pythos or something like that, but he has a necrodermis arm, I believe. So, maybe that is a possibility and that would be, like you said, that'd be such a kind of honorific, cool kind of full circle thing.
Yeah.
Now I got to find that Ultramarine guy.
Well, while you do that, let's get into the armory. The catastrophic drop site massacre on Isfahan 5 deprived the Iron Hands of the majority of their dreadnoughts and suits of Terminator armor. Those few that survived the slaughter became sanctified relics, irreplaceable symbols of the chapter's ultimate creed, the perfect union of flesh and steel. Their technological scarcity stands as an irony for a brotherhood defined by its devotion to augmentation. Consequently, the Iron Hands almost never deploy full squads of Terminators. Instead, they reserve their remaining suits for clan company commanders and veteran sergeants, maximizing the psychological and doctrinal impact these towering relics exert upon the rank and file. Each armored figure serves as a living icon, a reminder of the chapter's iron destiny, a silent gospel of mechanized supremacy. Some once believed the chapter possessed no more than 8 active dreadnoughts, a rumor born of their losses and isolation. Whether that was ever true is irrelevant now. The truth is revealed in Steel and Fire. When the Iron Hands assemble for war, it is not merely an army. It is a moving forge world, a procession of armored engines and relentless guns. Their arsenals are no longer diminished. Each clan company maintains its own war fleet, battle tanks, dreadnoughts, Interior warsuits, and weaponized constructs of cold, uncompromising will. To crew these revered machines is the highest honor an Iron Hand can receive. Through sacred bionic implants, their pulse merges with the engine's rhythm. Their breath becomes exhaust, and their voice becomes the roar of cannon fire. They do not operate their war machines, they become them.
Yeah, fucking cool. They just slowly wire in. They sit down in that chair, start plugging themselves in, and they just never get out of it. Cool. I'm still trying to find that guy. It's on the tip of my brain. But he's with Uriel Ventress. But either way, whatever. You can start plucking. Yeah, so the Iron Hands, that's them. They got a lot of stuff going on for them. They have a pretty good fleet. Got a bunch of ships. I did choose some, but man, I feel like there's just an Iron Hands War Gear episode brewing, or relic episode or something. Even just talking about Ferrus Manus in there, as I included. The one relic I will mention real quick that they do have is the Axe of Medusa, and basically whoever wields like the Iron Count, or whoever is ruling the Iron Council, wields this axe, and it's ceremonial kind of cog like axe. So kind of cool, but lots of stuff out there. The Iron Hands are cool. You know, I kind of gained some appreciation for them. Some of it felt like a little repetitive, or like, what are their tactics? Well, to purge themselves and be better. It's like, okay, so do they use mechanized assaults? Or they drop infantry? Like, how do they do it? I feel like some of that is like, they're just pretty standard and basic when it comes to like the actual like art of war.
Yeah, it's true. I actually I enjoyed the Iron Hand Legion a little more than Ferrus Manus. I don't know if I care as much about the actual Primarch as much as the Legion is actually kind of cool. Like the Iron Fathers and the Council and stuff. I think those are cool aspects.
Yeah, all the infighting that happens while it's not infighting, being like able to break the chapter, and all of them are still loyalists and homies at the end. Like, yeah, there's some fun stuff there for sure. I just keep thinking when looking at these images that I've been looking through is buying like a squad of Scutari or some AdMech stuff and taking all those extra cog bits from helmets or whatever and slapping them on some Astartes. I feel like I didn't see any of that when looking through pictures, and man, lots of cool upgrades and conversions you could do like that.
I really love the Mark IV Iron Hands headset that they released recently for Horus Heresy models. I think they're really cool, and I love the cog helmet crests. The Scutari have them too, but yeah, I freaking love those. They look almost like submarine helmets.
Yeah, exactly. A couple other cog bits you could get and really kind of just increase that. I've always done this when I do any Astartes. I'll always buy Iron Hands upgrade kits for their bionics and sprinkle them through my guys. I love seeing all the bionics, whether it's legs or hands or whatever. My last Space Marine project, the Astra Crota, they featured a lot of bionics because the Crotalids kept biting them off limbs and shit.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, great way to upgrade. Super flavorful, man. Even though it's that black and silver, like they have so much character.
Yeah.
What else is fun about them? I don't know. 00111010. If you don't know that, then get learned, and the Iron Hands will tell you a little bit more. But that's all we can do for you for now.
I wish you had that pre-planned and you actually said something in binary there that someone has to decode.
Yeah. But instead, I just said like, "I fuck goats" or something silly. More incriminating evidence. Whatever.
Just letting it pile up.
Let it pile up. Cool. Well, very fun. We made it through the Iron Hands. What is the next Legion? Message me if I should now do the 2nd and the 11th, or if we should jump to the 12th and kind of carry on with the known legions. What is the 12th Legion? It is, okay, yeah, the World Eaters. So that's going to be fun to get into that.
Oh, yeah.
But, our next little series that we're doing is we're going to get into some Astartes war gear. I was writing some notes today on just different marks of power armor, and it's pretty fun. It's crazy. This episode had a lot of that like techno babble talk, and that episode is a lot of that too. It's like all these mechanical terms that you're just like, okay, I guess it's science. I'll take your word for it.
Science or witchcraft, whatever.
Whatever. If it works, it works.
I actually have candles powering my computer right now.
if it works.
Ritual candles, yeah.
Could a dreadnought, this is a question from the chat, could dreadnought be more of a traditional tank form since it kind of let everything go? Yeah, maybe.
That's
maybe
actually
they
a
would
really
replace
cool
it.
idea. I never thought of it. Yeah. That's really sick.
And then you get something like that World Eater tank engine thing.
It's like, yeah, damn it. I hate that thing.
Oh man, good times. One cool conversion that they did was they put legs on that, and that was fun. But hey, if you like tanked track leg to Astartes, go for it. Just don't get caught.
Just don't get. That's like really the rules of anything.
Yeah, exactly. Commit a little tech heresy, just don't get caught. Cool. Well, we will see you all maybe we'll do some quick shout outs and then we'll bounce. Okay. Hey, you want like Iron Hands? You want to buy some upgrade kits? You want to waste all your money on plastic? You do. I know you do. You're listening to this for 2 hours. You do. So go to Merlin's Miniatures, use promo code Lorehammer. You can buy some stuff. There's like discount codes and shit there. Definitely message me and use Merlin's Miniatures before you buy, and you can get discount codes and stuff. I get a little cutback too. I'm an official plastic deals salesman person, so that's pretty fun to add to a resume. Also, come check out Lorehammer Listen to Lore podcast. I just recorded a great one the other day, and whoever that was that recorded with me, Aaron, his name is, I think. He's going to join us on Lorehammer Main. Fun guy. But yeah, go check out Lorehammer Listen to Lore.
And if you like Star Wars, make sure to check out the Star Lores with an L podcast, where Christian and I do fun little deep dives into the Legends expanded universe era of Star Wars. So if you want to join us on that ride, it's always fun too.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, great episode. We'll see you all on the next one. Adios.